Jessie, woo, VBS. I just turn the water on. Big old flex. You never saw before. He's chasing me like waterfall. Jessie, woo.
What's up, guys? It's your sister, Jessie Woo. Welcome to another episode of Just a Couple Things, y'all. Your favorite podcast. Before we continue, though, are you subscribed to your favorite podcast? See, and that's why, how am I your favorite? How am I your favorite if you're not subscribed? Come on now, you got to do better than that. I need you to go ahead and click follow on Apple Podcasts. So if you're the Apple people, click follow on Apple Podcasts. If you're the Spotify people, click follow on the Spotify People Podcast. Find Just a Couple Things on every platform that streams podcasts. And when you hit follow, you get the episode first. And baby, if you didn't get this episode first, baby, you missed out. You missed out because this is a very, very, very special episode. All right, so let's just hop right on in. We have a special guest. We have a young lady by the name of Shirley Williams. Shirley Williams broke TikTok last week. Okay, I was minding my business, minding other people's business. And I was on Threads and I saw a video clip that said, hey, my name is Shirley. I paid $10,000 for a dating coach and now I'm engaged. Ring-a-ling-a-ling, a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, okay? And I thought to myself, wow, this story is so fascinating and I have so many thoughts, but who better to discuss this video with or this topic with other than the woman who broke TikTok herself, Miss Shirley Williams. Shirley Williams, how you doing today?
I'm good. Jessie, I love you. You are just, you have so much personality and pizzazz. I'm like just melting over here watching you work.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. Listen, I love you back. I love you too. I love your story. I have so much respect for you for being brave and coming online and telling your story and not being afraid to share it. I think that it's something to honor and something to respect. So, girl, I love you too. And I love that we get to have this sit down. Before we even get into the TikTok, the TikTokery of it all, I want to just have an opportunity to get to know you better, okay? I know that you said you're 39 years old. You are the owner of a 7-figure content creating studio. I want to get to know more about you as the businesswoman. Because, baby, only a businesswoman, only a woman of a certain caliber can spend $10,000 on a dating coach, okay? And we're going to get to that much later. But first and foremost, talk to us about who you are, the business that you have, what you guys have done. Because I looked at your website and I was like, okay, no, she's actually killing it. She's partnered with a lot of people. You know what? Go ahead and just toot your own horn because I can get in the habit of tooting somebody else's horn. Toot your own horn. Let us know who you are and what do you do.
Happily. So yeah, my name is Shirley Williams. I always like to lead with who I am in spirit first. I am a child of God. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend, a now fiance. I am joyous and kind and loving and all those things. And I happen to be the CEO of Willie B Studios. We are a 7-figure content studio. So I like to say we specialize in the business of storytelling. I am a storyteller by nature. I love, love, love telling stories ever since I was a little girl. I remember my uncles would always tell my parents, that girl gonna make you a lot of money because I just love telling stories. Everything was a story. Everything was a production. And so now I get to do it for a living. I get to work with incredible brands who are doing just incredible things in the marketplace where they have a product, a mission, an initiative, and we get to bring story and further it. And it's always rooted in some sort of purpose. We are a purpose-driven a content studio. But yeah, I mean, that's to sum it up. I can go wherever you want me to go in terms of who I am.
Well, I want to also, because, right now, not to be rude, I just want people to know I'm on her website. I want to go back because I remember seeing a list of all the brands that you worked with, and I was very impressed by that. Microsoft, AT&T, Toyota, Adidas, CDC, the CDC. Can you kind of talk to us about what are the services that Willie B Studios provides when you are partnering with these brands?
It's so much fun. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So where a brand, let's say they have a campaign and they're like, we want to reach this demographic. We want to reach this market. Shirley, can you and your team package story around it? So we'll come in, we'll help develop, we'll help ideate, we'll think about what we can build that can work narratively in a social space, in a digital space. And then we're the creators of that. We're responsible for that. We do full service production. So we hire all the teams. All of our teams are insanely diverse. Actually, the majority of our core team, I have a staff of 6 or 7, I believe, majority Black women, interns, high executives. Yes, majority Black women. And yeah, we handle full service production. So we go out, we shoot it, we film. I direct most of the content and we bring it back, we package it together and we offer it to our partners. And then they go out and they pump it out into the digital space.
Perfect. So just for people to understand too, like let's say Essence Fest is coming up, right? And they want some marketing material out there, maybe to live, on socials, maybe on Instagram. They want to do an Instagram rollout. They want to do a Facebook rollout. They want to do a Twitter rollout. And TikTok, these are all the socials where this kind of content will live on. Maybe they want some influencers to talk about Essence Fest in, their YouTube videos. So basically, Willie B Studios jumps in. They will go ahead and, create the content. They will get the influencers. Because I just want people to understand from my perspective how that usually happens. Like, I remember recently BET had a show, and sometimes they'll reach out, hey, we have a show coming out. Can you do an integration on your podcast? You review a lot of shows. So BET, yes, they're doing the rollout, but a lot of times these networks will go to an entity such as Shirley's.
Exactly. So a BET will come to us, anything within the Viacom family, History Channel, A&E, or brand specific, they will come to us and say, we want you to not only develop and ideate, we also want you to execute and to deliver to us a product. We also work a lot with influencers, pro athletes, like thinking about Essence Fest. They'll say, hey, we want to build content around Essence Fest. And then I'll say, oh my gosh, we should reach out to Jessie Woo and see about Jessie Woo doing, doing some story around being at Essence Fest, being inspired by Essence Fest, going on a journey to Essence Fest. So we bring Jessie into the story and execute it and figure out the best way to tell it in a way that makes Jessie look great, in a way that supports the Essence brand.
Exactly. So I hear you speak a lot about, listen, this is a 7-figure studio. Talk to me about why that's so important, and also what are your future aspirations when it comes to Willie B Studios?
Yeah. So when I did the TikTok content, one of the reasons why I said, let me say this is a 7-figure business is because I had a hint that people would be disrupted by the idea that I spent $10,000. I did not know mayhem would break loose, but I wanted people to know that I run a business that's profitable, that's making money, and making money so that I can invest back into myself in such a way. But in terms of how we're able to generate that kind of revenue, we work with really, really big brands. I'm very specific in the types of brands that I target. 1, brands who are aligned in our mission and values. And then 2, brands who can actually pay for the services, right? So we're in the business to make money. Jessie, you are in business to make money. I do not run a nonprofit. This is not community service work. And so.
No, listen. Hello? Like, in this economy, listen, we're all out here trying to get it. We're all out here trying to, get to the coin. And I think it's inspiring to watch you do it in a way where you're doing what you love to do. I also love that Willie B Studios is named after your grandfather, I believe. And so for you, it's not just a content studio, it's a legacy that you're building. What do you hope for Willie B Studios to be like 10 years from now?
Yeah, I say that we have this big vision to change the world through media. Media is one of the most influential tools on the planet. Literally, look
Yeah.
what I did. Nobody knew my name, nobody knew me, and I told a story. I created a piece of content that literally broke the internet. That went insanely. It's still going viral on
Yeah.
TikTok. I can't open my phone without a million comments. But
Yeah.
you know, we want to educate people. We want to tell individual stories. We want to inspire people. But really, it's to tell stories that change the individual, that then change their family, that then change the community, that then can
Wow.
change the world.
Okay, period.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
to hear it. Pa-da-pa-pa-pa, I'm loving it. I don't eat McDonald's though. I see what they did with Palestine. Okay, so now I had to put that in there. Let's talk about the initial video. When you came on the camera and you said, "Hi, my name is Shirley. I'm 39 years old. I spent 2 years with 0 dates. And last year I hired a dating coach for $10,000. And now, as a result of me doing that, I am engaged." And you did your little ring-a-ling. Let's see the, hold on, let's see the ring. The ring was nice. Okay, period. The okay. The ring is beautiful. When you made that video and you clicked on post, mentally, I want to know where you were. And once you check back in, I want to know mentally where you were. Seriously.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny. So before I answer that question, I want to go a little bit further back. So
Okay.
Starting from the kickoff. So it was last weekend, I think at this point, a few days ago,
Yeah.
me and my friends were having a wedding planning party. All it was like charcuterie board at my house, champagne, mimosas, my fiance and all my closest friends in person and on Zoom. And my sister had drove down from Connecticut and we were just getting ready.
Yeah.
So if you look at like my past content, I'm always testing things. I didn't really have a message or a theme on my pages. I just play around with TikTok, post things. So I told my sister, I was like, "Oh, we should do a get ready." There was no intentional the way I do with work, with branded storytelling. Let me sit down and iron this out and figure out the best story to tell. I was like, let's have some fun. Let's do a get ready with me. So even if you look at the earlier videos, the camera's literally falling over, is clunking out, it's falling on the floor. I'm doing makeup. It was a mess, but it was funny. And then after I posted about seven videos starting to tell the story of me and my fiance. And then we all, after our wedding planning party, we all watched it on my TV screen and we were cracking up because it was a mess. It was awful. Like my story was all over the place, da-da-da-da-da. But people started to engage and they had a lot of questions about this $10,000 and this fiance, but it didn't pick up just quite yet. So I remember I woke up and I was getting ready to go to the gym and I was like, you know what? I was like, I should see what would happen if I actually took that bite and packaged it into like 60 seconds of content. And so this is my thinking as to why I posted it. And I was like, I also want people to I want to see what happens if I put that bite at the top, that $10,000.
Yeah.
And then I also want people to know as fast as possible why I invested $10,000. It's because I wasted 13 years in a relationship that didn't go anywhere. I did not know how to choose. I needed support. And I thought it was a great investment. It helped me choose wisely. And then I hit send. And then I went about my business, got to work. Then I checked on it later on that night and I saw it started to get some traction. I was like, oh my gosh, wait,
Yeah.
People are responding to this, and then it just ballooned from there.
Yeah. So when you got back in the Clock app and you see just the eruption in your mind, what were your first initial thoughts?
So the first initial thoughts were there was so much positivity. Like, kudos to you, girl.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I'm so happy that I can like help people and inspire people. Child, it was when them ladies on that internet started to drag me, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I've triggered something. I've brought something up. I think it's a lot of it has to do with money wounds, scarcity wound, but I have triggered something and
Mm.
on the relationship side of TikTok that is pissing people off. And so I continue to engage.
Mm. Do
Mhm.
you feel like continuing to engage has been a positive? Because I do feel that, although I said to you at the top of this, I feel like a lot of the things that you have said has gotten lost in translation,
Yeah.
because if you're not, a lot of people will see that first initial video
Yeah.
and they will make their judgment based on that first initial video.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You're not going to get as many people who see that, hey, I spent $10,000 on a dating coach. Those people most of the time don't go back and go look at all the videos. And so I feel like a lot of the negativity that you probably have seen is because they didn't actually go and listen to every single video. But I like that you said that you woke up money wounds,
Mhm.
scarcity wounds. I love that you said that. And I'm going to put a pin on that because I want to come back to it.
Okay.
In that initial video, you said something. You said you spent 13 years in a relationship that didn't go anywhere. And I also believe that it was either that video or another video that you had where you said, listen, I didn't know how to date. My mama didn't know how to date. My aunties didn't know how to date. And so I lost 13 good young years of my life.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to make smart decisions
That's right.
when it came to dating and mating. Can you kind of talk to me about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks be to God, he gave me the wisdom to freeze my eggs, because baby,
Oh, praise the Lord.
that clock
Praise
is real.
the Lord. Yeah.
I was in a long-term relationship with someone for 13 years. Now, when I was in it, it was great. It was good. We had a phenomenal friendship. We had a great connection. Our families were families. It was a really good relationship. And at the end, there was never, it wasn't toxic. It wasn't bad. It ended because we became two different individuals. And we could not align in our values. We could not align in mission. So the best thing for us to do was to go our separate ways.
Okay.
But in that, right, coming out of that, it was so painful. It was awful because it felt like a death. I had been connected to this person 13 years.
Yeah.
I had been connected to this person for over a decade. Our friends were for everything. We did everything together. And so I immediately went into therapy, and being in therapy, I learned so much about myself, why I chose him, why I stayed so long, knowing that I knew probably 11 years before that this probably wasn't going to work.
Wow.
But not consciously, subconsciously, internally. It wasn't a thing that was in the present mind. And so it was being in therapy and seeing these patterns that I had and these types of men that I was attracted to. I think we overuse the anxious, avoidant, and all that. But I was more of an anxious person. He was more of an avoidant person. If I could like use language that would, visualize what type of people we were or how I experienced us in this relationship together. But it was being in therapy and doing a lot of healing work and understanding that I was addicted to the comfort. I was it wasn't because I saw myself with this man. It was just like, oh no, he's what I know. it's safety in the knowing, perceived
Wow.
safety. Yeah. So it did not work out. And so being in therapy really helped me to see some things. And then I got into a situationship and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this man is not that interested in me. If he was, he would do something about it. He would choose it. There would be a commitment, right? And so I decided to go on a 2-year hiatus. And I was just like, well, actually, I was forced into a 2-year hiatus. I don't think it was a conscious choice. Both of my parents became they got into health crisis. My father was diagnosed with cancer. My mother was diagnosed with a brain injury. I was building my business. I was literally consumed with caregiving, consumed with taking care of them. And 2 years into that whole experience, I'm like, I have not done anything to invest in my future family other than freeze my eggs. But what's that when I don't have some sperm, right? So yeah, it was me.
Bluntly speaking.
Yeah. I had to think about it. I'm like, well, Shirley, you literally have a coach for every area of your life. I have a financial advisor. I have a fitness trainer. I have an executive coach. I have a business coach. I have a therapist. Go get a dating coach. I was like, duh. So then I started seeking one out, and then that's how I got Anwar.
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit because you were talking about the 13-year relationship that you were in, and we know your coach is Anwar. Shout out to Anwar, who does great work. I saw him recently on the Off the Record podcast, and he was talking about how a lot of us, our preference is actually our trauma. Do you feel that that's what it was for you?
Oh,
that you
100%.
found comfort in the trauma?
Oh, 100%. I heard him say once, and I was like, nailed it. He was like, our type is our trauma. Like, my perceived type was not really my type. It was toxic. It was based and inspired out of trauma. So you asked me earlier, I'm sorry, I didn't answer this question, but you talked about not being taught how to date. Nobody taught me how to date.
I was going to ask you that too. That was going to be my follow-up question was, what did your mother tell you about dating? What did your grandmother tell you about dating? Like, what did the women in your family tell you about dating? And the reason why I asked that is, as a Haitian woman, I don't feel that in my culture, we are taught how to date. In the Haitian culture, it is fais mes jambes, remets en haut, pas remets en bas. And it's basically like, close your legs.
Yep.
If you're going to love above. Don't love beneath. You know what I mean? And that's basically the gist of it. Don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it. And we don't really get the steps to getting married. And a lot of times too, within the Haitian culture, while Haitian men tend to be very romantic, it's usually when they're looking for something like at the end, right? A lot of times me and my Haitian friends will talk about the fact that we really never saw our mothers be romanced. We never saw our mothers be courted, even in your marriage. Like, you should still be courted. Even in your relationship, you should still be courted. And so I feel like for me going into the dating realm, I was very unprepared. I made a lot of bad decisions. And I feel like a lot of it comes from the fact that ain't nobody tell me nothing. So that's why I'm asking you that question. What did your mother tell you about dating? What did your aunties tell you about dating?
Girl, we need a support group. I was literally out here just winging it. Okay. Like, same thing that you said. That was it. I remember my mom brought me in her room one day and she was like, come sit down. I was starting to develop. I was an attractive young girl and she saw boys were chasing after me. She was like, come sit down. She was like, listen, you have sex, you gonna get pregnant. So that just horrified me. And it also impacted my sexuality growing up. Like my God. Yes. I was scared to engage, to try things, because there was just this constant fear of, this is just wrong. Sex is wrong. So My mom, that was my mom. I remember my uncle asked my dad one day, he was like, no, asked me in front of my dad. He was like, I was probably about 14, 15 years old. He was like, so do you have a boyfriend? The way my father turned around and looked like, you better answer it right.
Not the uncle.
Yes.
This ain't even your
Yes.
place. This ain't even your ministry, sir.
My uncle. And so for my dad to look at that without even having never, I also say this, don't come from my parents, because my parents was the greatest parents on the planet, right?
Well, first of all, don't do that, because baby, you will get blocked over here. We respect the guests, baby. So you will get blocked. But go ahead.
My dad, like, you never even talked to me about a guy. And
Yeah.
then when it just is brought up in this conversation, like, you look at me with death eyes. So nobody taught me. My mom has 5 sisters. My dad has 3 sisters. I have tons of cousins. I have a grandma. Nobody sat me down and said, this is what dating looks like. This is what courting looks like. This is what a relationship looks like. This is what because these are all different things. No one did that. And with the way that children learn is from seeing their primary caregivers in action, right? So my parents, their relationship to me felt more from the lens of a child, felt more like a business arrangement. I never saw them hug. I never saw them kiss. So even to this day, one of the challenges that me and my fiance have is around physical touch.
Affection.
Yeah, because I didn't see it. So it's foreign, right? And he loves physical touch, right? And I'm like, okay, not too much, right? Because it can be overwhelming for me because I wasn't conditioned to see or to have that. And so
wow.
I remember when I came out of my relationship, I started doing my healing work. I started working with Anwar, and I have this man who's a stranger teaching me how to date. But I grew up with women who said they loved me and they had been in marriages. And I went through an experience of becoming very, very resentful and very angry for about 3 months. And my therapist had to work me through that because I was like, how could they? They could have saved me 13 years. Why didn't anybody teach me? Why didn't anybody guide me? And
why didn't anybody also, and this is, I'm just saying hypothetically too,
yeah.
You're probably thinking, why didn't anybody step in and say, girl, no, this is not it.
Yeah. Yep.
This is not it. And it's probably because maybe their journeys were similar too. And that's a whole other conversation. But I feel like I can so much relate to what you're saying. Although I'm Caribbean, but I feel like a lot of times within the Caribbean culture and even the African culture, like we talk about this as women, how romantically relationships, just we really don't get that those teachings. And so one day when God blesses me with a daughter, I definitely want to inject that into her, and I want her to see mommy getting loved on. Like, girl, you gonna walk in the kitchen, you might see me and your daddy French kissing. That just might be it. And I really want that to happen because I want my daughter from a young age to know this is what it feels like being loved on correctly. And you know, I just feel like I never saw that. And hearing you say that, it just makes so much sense why you would go and get a coach. I think that there's some conversation around your story too. And even I because I talked a little bit about your story on Threads too. And I said, you know, I do feel that when it comes to like the dating realm, especially online, that the men tend to be more successful than the women. Like, you know, we have the Sheer Sevens, we have the Kendra G's, but then, you know, in the men's realm, you know, we've had Kevin Samuels, we've had Derek Jackson, you know, and there's a whole bunch of other men coming up now who are just their sons, to be honest. Why is it that you chose Anwar instead of a female coach?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I remember I'm burned out, I'm tired. So then I go to Joshua Tree. I'm like, usually it's for my birthday. Usually on my birthday, I do something with my friends. We travel somewhere. It's brunches, it's parties. I was like, I can't. I'm tired. I need God to restore my soul. I'm going to go somewhere, lock out 5 days, 4 nights. All I did was listen to music, pray, meditate, and just be and read books. And then I'm driving from Joshua Tree, from the desert back to LA. I'm in the car. I swear it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't been dating. Like, I haven't been doing anything to invest in my future family. I'm like, I gotta do something. Start assessing, well, Shirley, how do you typically problem solve when you need support? I'll go get a coach in this area. I'll go get an expert in this area. So I go to one of my closest friends' house, probably about a week later, and I'm like, hey, I know nothing about coaches. I haven't even been looking at these people online. And so I go to my friend's house. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a dating coach. And now this is a friend. I talk to her all day, every day. This is how taboo this is. So I'm like, I'm thinking about getting a dating coach. She goes, I have one. I'm like, you have a
You
dating?
didn't know.
I didn't know. One of my closest friends. But there's so much shame around it.
Dang.
There's so much shame around it. So I said, girl, what? I was like, what
Well,
is
who
it?
is it, girl?
And she gives me Anwar's information. I schedule a call with Anwar, and we just clicked. I'm
Wow.
also a person where, like, if somebody comes within my field and the chemistry is there, we're in alignment, we work, I don't need to keep going to search. So
Period.
I didn't I didn't look at
Period.
other coaches. I didn't even know he was like a social media person.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
So you had no idea who Anwar White was?
Nope.
You didn't know he was our fairy gay god brother?
Nope. I had never heard of this man. I never saw him on my timeline.
Wow.
My friends never talked about him. Completely clueless.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me go back just a little bit, because throughout your videos, I think in 1 or 2 videos, you mentioned, yes, your parents had gotten extremely sick, and you spent 2 years no dating. But within those 2 years, you prayed, you fasted. I feel like that has gotten lost in translation too. You fasted, you prayed a lot, and you were very intentional about, hey, God, I'm going to spend this time out of this dating game.
Yep.
And I'm going to pour back into me by strengthening my relationship with you, and strengthening my relationship with myself.
Yes.
Investing back into myself, focusing not only on my family, but also like my future. And you went to your source first, which is God. And I thought that was very, very important. I think that God really shows himself the most in our moments of stillness, when we just are quiet and we shut the hell up.
Yeah.
And stop trying to do everything on our own. While I do believe, like, the Bible says faith without works is dead. But when the works ain't good, girl, you need to press pause, because obviously the works ain't working. So you need to press pause.
Right.
Fast, pray, get in God's face, be very persistent about chasing God. There is, don't remember the scripture, but there is a scripture that says, God will give you the desires of your heart.
That's right.
And I remember probably like 3 years ago reading that and saying, oh my God.
That's right.
That scripture doesn't mean that I'm going to tell God what I want and he's going to give it to me.
That's right.
No, it is, I'm seeking God for him to tell me what his desires are for me. For him to dictate that for me so that I can be in his will. And I really think that part of your story gets lost, because now that I hear that you fasted, you prayed for 2 years, your friend had Anwar, you didn't even know who he was. She gives him to you.
I'm literally crying, listen to you recap
Girl,
it.
that was God. Girl, I'm getting chills. Like, that was God. And and sometimes I was raised in church. My father was a preacher. He was also a crackhead child, but that's girl, that's all. But I have this relationship with God. I've tussled with God all of my life. All of my life, I've tussled with God. And I feel like I've tussled because I didn't understand that I can't just go to God and be like, well, I made this decision, you make it work. That's not how God works. You have to seek God's face. And I really feel like you did that diligently. You did it so diligently that he ushered Anwar into your life. You didn't even go look for that man. Because listen, the girlies are saying you chased down Anwar, you get. That's not what it is. What it is that God did that work in your life. And I mean, you're getting affected by that. What are your thoughts?
Because
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry.
No, it's okay. I'm so grateful to God that he kept me.
Yeah.
God kept me. There's so many women outside that are getting harmed by men. For 2 years, God kept me.
Yeah.
I don't have the experience that a lot of people have. I didn't go on bad dates. I didn't get my heart broken repeatedly and repeatedly. And so, thinking about God's grace, His mercy, and his provision over my life, I'm always in awe. Literally, because I did what you said, I committed myself to God. I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm tired. I know I don't want to keep getting these results. I know I need to stop. I need to pause. I don't know what I'm doing. And so God kept me. He gave me things to keep me busy too, so that I didn't go seeking attention and comfort and companionship from other men. For 2 years, I got to build a business. I got to take care of my parents. I got to express my love in other ways and providing for a staff and providing for the people who provided for me since I was a little girl, who brought me into the world. When I think about what God did for me as I was in pursuit of him, and also you saying that comes from Psalms 34. God, if you put your trust in him and seek him out, he'll give you the desires of your heart. What God did was he gave me a new taste for men. He gave me he gave me a new type. He showed me what wasn't working. He guided me to what was
so good. That is so good.
Yeah,
so good.
He guided me to what he had for me. And also, by the time I got to the point of dating, people say the bar is in hell. My bar was in heaven, because I'm like, this is my father. He gives me everything. And y'all want me to settle for what? I can't.
Come on, Shirley.
Come
on, Shirley.
Yes. So yeah, those 2 years I spent with God, learning about how obsessed he is with me, how much he loves me, paying attention to all that he does for me and what he gives to me. I think also me seeing the miracles he was performing in my parents' lives as they were going through crisis. I'm like, the evidence is all around me. I never in life have to settle for mediocre. I never have to do this again. And God literally sent me a man from heaven.
And he sent you a man from heaven on Hinge. And I feel like people will hear, I invested $10,000 in a dating coach, and I'm engaged, and I met my fiance on Hinge, and be like, Hinge? Right? Because even me, I'm like, girl, Hinge? Because I've been on Hinge. But, girl, I found everything but a fiance. Girl, I found, lemon pepper wings, hookah. I found Nigerians with 2 wives back home, child. I found everything but a fiance, girl. Okay? So, girl, what you got, that was a work of the Lord, girl. That was God. But people will hear that and not hear your story. And so let's go into your relationship with Anwar, right? So you have Anwar coaching you.
Yeah.
He's not a matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
However, I heard you speak about the access that you had to Anwar. And I think that's very important to place context within the price that you paid. I think the access that you had to him, the time that you spent with him. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I spent so much time with Anwar. So much. So like I got started in the Get Your Guide program. And so we have one-on-one weekly coaching sessions, and I get to choose based on my like availability. And I think it's about 30 minutes. And this is where I'm learning a lot. I'm a business owner, so I was carrying a lot of masculine energy. And I was responsible for keeping 2 people alive, right? So I'm like, I'm coming into everything like this. And Anwar's like, no. We gotta bring that down, mamas, and bring up the femininity. So I was learning with him on how to do that, right? Like, and then I have all these false beliefs around relationship and men and dating, and he's spending time with me to like crack that stuff open. And then I'm learning like what I thought my core needs were in relationship are not my core needs. There's just stuff that I heard about on the internet or my friends talking, and there's another way to discover my core needs. So he's helping me like figure out what those things are, right? And in a lot of this, the one-on-one coaching, not the cell phone access, like we use an app called Boxer where we can send voice messaging all day, anytime. And so that was like 24-hour support. So as I'm going through life and trying to heal this inner child, and she's showing up in the context of romantic relationships, family, friendships, Anwar is helping me to deal with all the pieces. And this is literally at any time, it was invaluable. So whether it's I'm on a date and it's weird, or I'm not feeling it, and I could run out to the bathroom and, hey, Anwar, this is what's happening. Can you please help me? And he's giving me coaching, and I could go back into the game. Or, it was
like on the spot.
On the spot. And then he has other coaches. So if he's not available, I can tap into the other coaches and get the same kind of access.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazing. And then there's that.
He has a team.
Yeah, he has a team.
Oh,
he has a team. Yeah, I think he has 3 other coaches. I work mainly with him and his and another woman named Coach Shoya.
So how many months, or, I don't know are you still working with Anwar?
I am. I keep Anwar on payroll, child.
Okay. So for how long, period, because she could do that. How long were you with Anwar before you got with your now fiance?
So I was literally just looking at my onboarding documents last night. I kicked off with Anwar October 6th, 2023, and I met my fiance December 6th, 2023. And then me and him got into an exclusive relationship, I want to say like March, April of 2024.
So October to March, April, that was 6 months.
Yeah,
that was 6 months. And even past your fiance putting a ring on it, you were still communicating, or you're still getting coached by him within the relationship. And to this day, you still have him on payroll. So absolutely. I feel like people need to understand the context of that. Also, I visited his website. His pricing is honestly, in my opinion, low as hell. Considering the fact that he has such a great turnaround for the women who are in his program, do you feel like he kind of gave you therapist vibes?
I think if you have never been to therapy, it can feel like therapy. But because by the time I got to Anwar, I was 2 years into therapy, I knew the distinction. It was a clear distinction. And I really was I was going, the doer in me was like, all right, I need strategy. I need tactics. Let's go. And he was like, okay, wait, hold on. Yes, I got all that. And we still have some inner work to do. Because a lot of, remember, I had been in therapy for 2 years without being in a relationship, but a lot of my triggers would only show themselves or make themselves visible in the context of romantic relationship. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a good observation.
Yeah. It was about 2 months before I met my fiance. Remember, this is another thing people have just blown out of. I've heard, like, I went on 170 dates. I didn't
I heard you say you matched with over 100 men on Hinge, but you went on 4 dates.
Yeah, so I matched with, and that wasn't even including Bumble. So I matched with about 170 men on Hinge. And that was because I was treating this like a numbers game. I'm like, well, Anwar said 90% of these men ain't ready. So if 90% of these men ain't ready, I'm going to need to talk to at least 100 of these men to talk to one to see if the one that is ready, if I even like them. Yeah, so for me, it was a numbers game. And like, it's so funny. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, people are like, I don't need to pay a coach to match on Hinge. No, I was pairing my sales strategy that I take in business with Anwar's coaching. My approach was to increase the volume of men that I was talking to. Yeah, and then I brought Anwar's strategy into my communications, into the app, into all this dialogue that I had with men.
And he was holding your hand through it.
The entire process.
Okay.
Entire process.
So you meet your fiance, your now fiance, but I ain't gonna hold you. I saw the videos where you detailed dating him, and I was like, girl. Like, I'm sorry. Girl. Like, you were so difficult with this man.
I'm difficult. Very
difficult with him, and very, like, you talked about, the first date being a coffee date. Great. Which I feel like that's such a controversial thing, which I don't get, because I feel like if you do a first date as a coffee date or something where it's not just all glitz and glamour, you do get to, most of the time, meet the person. Yeah. And if you're still not able to really meet that person, then that's it. We don't need to go on another date. Like, we're on a coffee date. Make it cute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, coffee dates don't have to be, ghetto. Like, they can still be cute. Like, just think outside the box. But you said that your first date was a coffee date. And also that you all didn't leave the date without him actually showing the interest and making the initiative to plan the next date. And as I was hearing you talk about how he would always initiate the next date. He was always intentional about planning the next date. But I heard how difficult you were. I was like, okay, so my sister don't know. She doesn't understand being with a nice guy. And I think that a lot of women don't know what it's like to be with a nice guy.
Yep.
Like a genuinely nice man. And I say this as somebody who I've been in my relationship for a year. I ain't got no ring yet. But I've been in my relationship with for a year. And honestly, I feel like he's my first, I've never said this to him, but I feel he's my first genuine, nice man who has always been intentional from the first date. Planned every date. Now I'm getting the gist of planning dates. Sometimes I'll pick him up and I'll give him flowers. Like I will, you're like, girl, don't be giving me no flowers. I ain't no bad bitch. But like I'm trying to, meet him where he's been with me the entire time. And I feel that so many women don't know what it's like to be courted by a nice man. Do you feel that was your issue?
1,000%.
Yeah.
This is why I needed a coach, because I was a terrorist. First of all, I tried to sabotage it multiple times.
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, and if I did not have Anwar and Coach Shoya in my corner, pushing me, challenging me, helping me to reframe, think differently, I wouldn't have this. I would,
Yeah.
because even at some point, that man's patience was going to run out. You can
Yeah.
only be but so gracious, but
For
so
so long.
kind, but so understanding before you like, now girl, no, because
Yeah.
no. But yeah, I was so used to having to pull men along, having to encourage and inspire, having to tell them, having to
Demand.
yeah, having to demand, having to give ultimatums, having to so when it did not show up, I was like, well, what is this? And
Yeah.
this don't I'm not working hard enough. I'm
Yeah.
not I he, he gotta he should I should be wanting to earn this, or you know what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
this too easy. What is
Yeah.
happening here? So
Yeah.
I not consciously, I did not know. I was finding other ways to name it, and I had all these excuses in the world. I just don't. I'm not feeling it. Like I could
Girl,
never.
there was one story that you gave about, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was
No,
like, girl, not girl. His 40th birthday, I believe, was coming up, and he had pre-planned the trip to, I believe it was South Africa, and it was coming around a holiday. I think it was Valentine's Day, right?
Yep.
But he still was like, hey, I had this pre-planned, but I'm still going to plan all these things for you
Yeah.
in my absence. And you was just like, next. I'm like, girl, not girl. Now I don't know, girl. I'm in Atlanta. I am in Atlanta. You're not getting that in Atlanta. You're not getting somebody going on away for a trip. Talking about I'm still gonna make plans for you, girl. A man going away for his trip, it's a done deal, baby. We're done. You're not getting no communication. You say he was constantly communicating with you. He was constantly, making sure that you knew he was on his mind, and you were still just tussling. I was like, girl, sister girl.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of us do need a coach to actually navigate a good relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm nervous. I actually had a therapy session about 11 o'clock this morning. Me and my therapist, we were talking about that because what's happening, all this dialogue, there's a bit of a sadness internally with me because I'm on the negative side, because there's going to be so many women that are going to that are going to miss out on the eligible guys because they've closed themselves off to this idea. They
Yeah.
shut it out. It's
Yeah.
not a possibility. And in that, I think a lot of us are going to continue to experience loneliness and suffer. I am not saying, because I was happily single for years. I'm not conflating the two. I'm saying that there's a group of women, because they have closed themselves off to the idea, that I do think that it's going to impact what's possible for them. Because with guidance, right? There's scriptures that talks about, with a wise man with many counselors will succeed. That is this
Talk about it.
seeking counsel is a godly thing, is a wise thing to do. But the sadness internally is so many of my sisters and brothers will continue to not have some things in life that are available to them because they've closed themselves off to the idea of getting support.
Chasing me like waterfalls.
Let me ask you this. You did say earlier that, I invest in 10K, and how you realize that 10K, and this is not your exact words, but
Mhm.
even from my observation, that 10K really turned a lot of people off. And you mentioned that, you believe that when you said that, you opened up some money wounds.
Yeah.
I think that is so accurate. I didn't think about it that way, but even when you said the scarcity wounds, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you said the 10K, it definitely opened up another can of worms.
Yeah.
For people to say 10K, 10K, 10K for a man, for a man, for a man, you know, and while I get it, for the people who actually don't sit back and actually listen to you have over 20 videos about this. And about 90% of people are not going to go through and watch all those videos. So they don't understand the strategy behind what you did. But talk to me about why you feel it has opened up money wounds and scarcity wounds.
Yeah, because when you're abundant, and you don't even need to have the money in your hand, but when you have a mindset that says I'm abundant and money is infinite, resources are infinite, what's 10K?
Yeah.
But when there's scarcity there's not enough. So you took 10K of what is already scarce, of what is already not enough, and you gave it to some man to help you get a man. These men, I'm speaking from a scarcity mindset, holistically around men, around money. These men out here, they ain't good, they ain't worth it, and you took $10,000 and it's not even seen as an investment for some. It's seen as being wasteful. I saw someone said there are children out here suffering and hungry, and she took $10,000 and not invested and gave it to a dating coach so she could get a man. But yeah, I think that's my belief. When there is a scarcity mindset available, the scarcity and abundance, they can't coexist. It's one or the other. So if your come from is around this was a wasteful, a bad decision, a poor spend, that's not from a place of abundance.
I also want to add to that too, because you said you've invested in a therapist, you've invested in a business strategy coach, you've invested in your career. And, you know, I think a lot of us just think that we forget how hard it is for a certain group of women when it comes to dating. Like career-wise, right? You can go get a master's at 40. You could go get a PhD at 50. But at 50 years old, if you go sit at a bar, the chances are you're not going to run into the man of your dreams. Like, they're very slim. And I feel that, you know, I'm in my 30s as well. But even in your 30s, when you hear how, especially Black women are spoken about, Black women in our 30s, how undesirable we are, how undateable we are, and how masculine we are. Oh yeah, y'all got all these degrees, but y'all ain't got no man. You know what I mean? And so why not say, you know what? I'm not going to do this alone. I am going to have someone who's going to help me strategize. Obviously, I have the red pill community against me. I even have, to be honest, like, you have other women talking you know, against you. There's, you know, you see the 20-year-olds calling us aunties and y'all, like, you know what I mean? And so perception when it comes to Black women in their 30s in the dating realm, it's just not that friendly. Yeah. And so if you do have the money to invest in everything, I've seen people say, oh, well, I could have went to, you know, I could have went and got a BBL. Listen, if you're getting a $10,000 BBL, you're going to die. All right. You might not die today. Yeah. But baby, that BBL is going to be the death of you. Please understand. Everybody been talking about BBL air recently, you know, sit down air and all that. Y'all, you hoes is dying. These are not Shirley's words. These are my words. Y'all hoes who want to sit out there and pay $8,000 for a BBL, $10,000, y'all are going to die, period. Okay. If we can go out and spend money on things that make us look better, on the outside. Why not spend that same amount of money to do the inside work? I think that is what your message is, which is, yes, I've invested in all these things, but maybe I needed help. And I think a lot of people are just acting as if dating in your 30s, especially as a Black woman, is an easy thing.
Yeah.
When it's not. It's not an easy thing.
It's
now
not.
that you shared your story, I did feel for you in the sense that, okay, I kind of wish, my only thing, I kind of wish you would have waited till you got married. That's just my only thing. Because I know how the internet is. I know the internet goes, where he at? Where he at? And if you actually listen to all her videos, there is a video where he's in the background. I saw at least one video where he's saying he was agreeing with her how difficult it was for him to get her to just, okay, girl, let me in. Put your walls down. And he talked about the fact that he didn't really even know that you were doing all this work. What are your thoughts now on sharing this and not actually making it down the aisle? Because another thing too, Shirley, the internet is, I know you want to be here for your sisters. I want to be here for my sisters too. But I will never forget, I've never shared this, but when I first posted my man, I didn't give it any attention, but there were folks who did their best, who did their best to put things out there about me or to put things out there about him to break us apart. And so that's just my fear for you, is that, do you think it was a good decision? How are you all navigating this from that space of, there are people out there who will do their research, who will do their best to cast a dark cloud over everything that you have going on?
Thank you, Jessie, for asking such a thoughtful and caring and considerate question. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Me and him, he calls me all day. So he's not on TikTok, but
Okay, good.
his friends are. So they're filling him in with everything. And when I tell you, if at any point, if he feels like Shirley is not okay, he will take my phone and disable this whole thing and shut it down.
Okay.
Yeah, because his number one concern in life is my safety, my emotional safety, my mental safety, my physical safety. So we talk a lot about that. We talked about, well, what are some hard boundaries? Hard boundaries are, I'm not posting. It's not happening, y'all. It's not even necessary. And yes, I saw think pieces where they said, we found them. They've been calling him the 10K man. We found the 10K man. We found the 10K man.
Not the 10K man.
The 10K man. But I'm listening to your wisdom. And I'm 100% committed to not exposing us to that. But yeah, we talk a lot about it. He literally all day, he is calling me to like check in. How are you? Are you okay? Because his friends are there. He doesn't know. He's not on TikTok, so you don't see it. But his friends are keeping him abreast. But I don't regret a thing. I'm a very special human, and that I could care less what people think about me. That's how anchored I am in my identity in God. God has already told me who I am and what his thoughts are of me. I'm perfect, whole, and complete. And there are things about me where as long as I keep laying down and getting up in the morning, I'm going to trigger people. I just happen to do it in a really big way over the past few days. But it's a lot because it's overwhelming. It's like coming from everywhere. But I don't regret sharing anything. The amount that I have shared. And I'm praying that I don't regret sharing it. This is only like day 7 or 8 like that. But so far I don't regret anything. And like I'm 110% okay with being misunderstood. I'm 110% okay with people not liking what I did. I'm 1,010% okay with people demanding answers and being pissed because they ain't get it. It's okay.
It's okay. to conclude, I mean, again, I'm really, really, I admire your bravery. I think this was a brave thing to do. I also just, wow, like I didn't really, we discussed some things here that I honestly feel somewhat healing, even to me, talking about just your experiences dating before and what are some things you didn't get as a young girl so that you could understand how to date. Do you feel that this experience has healed some parts of little Shirley? And if so, what parts?
The me dating my
This
fiance.
entire experience, whether, you know, from dating your fiance, you
Mm.
know, being coached by Anwar,
Yeah.
becoming a fiance, you
Yeah.
know, has this healed
Mhm.
any parts of little Shirley?
Yeah. You're gonna make me cry again.
Well, I'll share first.
Okay, you share first, and
Yeah.
I'll.
I will tell you that, yeah, I call him Mr. Easter, but I will tell you that dating Mr. Easter, it's taught me that I am deserving of soft love. And it was very important for me to experience that because I didn't experience that growing up. I had a very I had a very I had a very rough childhood, very rough, and I've talked a little bit about it. But I'm the oldest of four, and I just feel that the man of the house is the firstborn daughter.
Yes.
Like the
Yeah.
man of the house is the firstborn daughter. And I just didn't experience a lot of softness. I feel that my mom, however, she did prepare me for a very harsh world. I'll always be thankful to her
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't experience any softness from my mother.
Yeah.
I didn't really experience softness, you know, from my culture.
Yeah.
And now that I have the opportunity to love someone who is constantly soft with me, you know, when I hear your story about how difficult you were with him, girl, your man and Mr. Easter could have a coffee date and talk about my ass, okay? Because like I'm not a walk in the park either. But there's something that Anwar said, even to you, I think you said this, that you can never do the wrong thing to the right man. And I look at my relationship, and that is so true. That is so true. And so being with him, I feel that little Jessica has finally experienced soft love. And I did not have to bribe anybody to get it. I did not have to earn it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of times, like in the dating realm, well, you need to earn.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to earn
Yeah.
softness as a
Yeah.
woman. That's something that should be ushered into you, especially from a man. You're a woman.
Yeah.
You know, a man should have no problem getting up and going to get you something.
Yeah.
You are his woman. And so I feel like that has healed the little girl in me, little Jessica. That girl, you soft love. Yes. Like you don't gotta have, love doesn't have to be difficult.
No.
Love doesn't have to be, you know, riding and dying. It doesn't have to be that.
That's
And
right.
as a Black woman, I just feel like more Black women need to experience that, need to know that soft love is something that we were born deserving. We don't gotta earn that. That's something that I was born, therefore I should
Ooh.
be loved softly.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that is, my relationship has healed that part of me. So I'll ask you again, this experience, what parts of little Shirley has it healed?
That's it. Everything you said. It's literally, it's the same experience. I grew up, you were in a harsh environment. I was in a very critical environment. So I was always doing things to earn love and so always trying to overachieve, overperform. And
Wow.
even in the work that I do, I go out and I got to pitch ideas. I got to sell ideas. I got to excite my team. I got to get them on board. I'm always doing to enroll and to convince. And then I have this soft landing space where all I have to do is be. I blink and this man is like, you're the most beautiful human on the planet. I sneeze and he's like, I could just watch you sneeze all day. I don't lift anything. I don't touch anything. I just, like you said, I just exist. And knowing that my inherent value comes from the fact that I am, and that makes me more than enough. And I have this man to show me evidence. That is healing all in itself. Where so many of my friends and former Shirley, and we're doing and we're working to attract and to hold and sustain. When being in a partnership with someone where he is here and he can't get enough just because I am, that's a gift from God.
That's a gift from God.
Yeah.
And that is healing. Shirley, I thank you. I thank you. This, honestly, I didn't know how this was going to go. I knew I was going to ask you questions, but I just felt like as soon as you started speaking, I was like, you know what? Let me just talk to her. Let the spirit lead us wherever we're going to go. And I feel like this has been a very healing conversation. And, my intention for this was so that people could hear the full story and hear your heart. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we knocked that out of the park. I hope that for every person that listens to this, that there are so many lessons to take from this conversation and to take from Shirley's experience and the path that she's on. I really think that anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next. But I feel that this is just me. Mm-hmm. I feel that your obedience is the message here. Yes. You paid $10K, but they didn't coach. But your obedience to me is your message. You were obedient to God. Mm-hmm. And even with Anwar, you were obedient to what he told you. Mm-hmm. And now you're being obedient by sharing your experience. And while, yes, there'll be a lot of people tussling in the comments, mm-hmm. your obedience is going to free other women. Your obedience is going to shine a light in a dark place for other women. Trust and believe that. A lot of times the hate is louder. Mm-hmm. The critiques are louder, mm-hmm. but trust and believe it's those silent supporters that win in the end. And so I'm really, really, really excited to see what you do next. Please let us know how to follow you on every social media platform and what you have coming up and how we can support you.
I'm on all socials at Shirley Bernae, SHIRLEBERNAE. I'm going to continue to talk about being a CEO, what that work looks like, telling stories, how I took the same strategies and principles that I use in creating a 7-figure content studio into creating my own love life, a successful love life. So I'll continue with the story. I'll continue to share. And I think that that's what people can look forward to.
Well, thank you so, so much, Shirley. I feel so blessed to have had this conversation with you. I look forward to seeing everything that you do next. Y'all, again, make sure that you are subscribe. Make sure that you are following Jess A Couple Things on every platform that streams podcasts. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see y'all same time next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Jessiewoo, GBS. I just turn the water on. Big old flex. You never saw before. He's chasing me like waterfall. Jessiewoo.
Pioneer.